Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Wells of Wall Street. Decentraland here, Mana, MANA on the exchange. Before we go into the chart, this makes me laugh. So basically, Christmas was obviously past already, can't believe it, but there was a big Santa drop in the Decentraland world, the whole crazy metaverse. Obviously went mad, people just trying to spawn in and take the presents, whatever. Basically, I believe you took it and OpenSea would then you'd be able to see what you got as your gift. But I was reading through some of these comments and some of them very amusing. One thing, I can't find Santa Claus. Can you guys help me? I want presents too. I just imagine loads of people spending their Christmas Day or Boxing Day floating around Decentraland trying to find Santa. Maybe a day later, I think, because I'm assuming this happened on the 25th. But there's a lot of comments on here on the 26th saying they couldn't find him. Well, I'm not surprised because he probably came and gone, my friends. So, but I just can imagine people like wandering around here for hours on end trying to find crazy Santas with green eyes, throwing presents at everyone. So yeah, very much so. That is one of the interesting things that has happened recently in Decentraland. We've got a lot of videos to get through, guys, so not going to focus too massively on key aspects of the game. We covered Decentraland quite often, and it's one that we picked in the top 5 gaming picks that we had earlier this year. So I want to jump pretty much into conversations about the chart sooner rather than later, but yeah, very much so, guys. Those that are new to the channel or new to Decentraland, you might have seen a few other games that we talk about, like Sandbox, Illuvium, all these things. But Decentraland is very much, albeit not maybe visually looking like it, but it's very much on the verge of what the metaverse is about. You having your own avatar, being able to wander around the world, do things, battles, play to earn, all this cool stuff. And it's very much the beginning. Don't get me wrong. Once the servers keep improving, the game graphics, etc., it's going to have a really phenomenal story to it, and it's still so early. And we'll look at the price in a second, but I think it's a top project. I had Mana at the beginning of this year, very similar to Sandbox. I sold it off when it had its early kind of run. I think it was probably around that sort of April time. So I think I had it in December when it was relatively low, and then sold it for over $1. But I think it's got so much more in the tank. Let's have a look, actually. Smash that like button if you like what you hear and see, and subscribe to the channel if you love hearing about all the different projects that we do. Keep you informed. But this is very much an overview, guys. So yeah, I was borrowing Decentraland. I think it was very early at the beginning of the year, if not maybe in December. I think I was getting some in November, December the year before, around that sort of 11 to 15 cents mark. I sold most of mine, arguably around 80 cents and something around 130. I didn't quite do it at the full top of 150, but then it came back down, and we covered that a lot of times. Very much played out in all the thought process that we thought would happen, which is quite interesting. But then, of course, then the metaverse conversations came out in big time when Facebook decided to call itself Meta, and then obviously everyone was like, what is an NFT? What is Metaverse? What is crypto? Everyone jumped in, not knowing what was going on. Realised probably they couldn't afford half the things in Decentraland and they should spend thousands upon thousands. But people wanted to get involved in the game regardless, and that obviously took effect. I mean, look at that, 78 cents all the way to the high of $4.94, guys. Could you imagine, like, buying in maybe on this day here, irrespective of whether you're in Decentraland or not, or held this token or not? Imagine if you heard about the brief news here on the 28th of October at around 80 cents, and then literally within 2 days you're sort of flying up to $5. And imagine people who are new to the space were like, oh my goodness, this is going like way beyond, it's going up and up and up. Of course it did go further up. It took a bit longer, a few weeks, of course, up to $5.90. That is incredible. In fact, don't think I even moved my all-time ATH all-time high line up to that area, but that's incredible, isn't it? Just for in perspective, actually, just from that 28th of October, that's mental. don't think we covered that. 740%. Absolutely brilliant. And congratulations to those that are still holding mana or took advantage of the the big tail ups here. We've had this nice consolidation. Hopefully we're seeing a U shape forming here. I think it would be really nice. And I'll probably consider maybe, I hate using that. It makes me cringe sometimes. Cup and handle. I see that coming, okay, for sure. And I'm sure once we have that handle, I do believe Decentraland will take itself beyond the all-time high and further. We thought at the beginning of the year that this could easily get to around $10. I think we can definitely still stick with that. There's anticipation probably near the 20. And by the way the things have gone, I mean, if you look out, it looks a bit different, the shape, which is really interesting. More gradual, if you like. But, I mean, you can manipulate, to be fair, the shape however you want it to look, to narrate yourself a bit more. But for me, it's very, very cool, this. So we didn't even come back, really, to test these lower regions of 250. The only time we did that was when, if you remember, I think it was a few weeks back now, how crazy time has flown. We had the Bitcoin leveraging failures and loads of other ones, longs going, failing miserably. We had this big drop down, so the high of $4.22 and a low of 250. That's crazy, isn't it? But it closed back on 411, so it really retraced well. Clearly big confidence in the project. And of course we had the following tail back down, but it never really, other than that day, never came back to these areas, which is really interesting. I always thought, there's two ways you can look at this. People say things are undervalued, and what they mean by that is undervalued in the sense of what it's going to be in the future. And I always stood by that in Mana. I still think Decentraland Mana token is massively undervalued. I think it's got a phenomenal future. I mean, look at Illuvium. Look at the Illuvium price, and the game wasn't even launched. It's crazy. Mana exists. Decentraland exists. Of course, you've got supply, demand, market cap, amount of supply tokens available, etc., to consider all these things. But for me, this is really important because we have this massive, arguably, price discovery mode. Beyond this point of 174, you could argue that all of this is testing new ground. I don't consider this new support lines. I don't think there's enough data points to push that. But what is interesting is this magnetism downwards. It's stopped around this area, which is great to see. And now we're pulling ourselves back up. So we're already testing, as of today, for example, this sort of $3.76 mark, which is very much matching what we had here on the 13th of November at a high of 380. And not too far off these either in terms of closes. I'm not talking about the wick highs because that's anticipated anyway, but certainly where they both closed, 358 and 288 here, obviously the drop down, but it's really tailing off here and the confidence is really creeping in for Decentraland again. What else can we look at here? Well, some really interesting indicators. Of course, we have the lower regions down here, kind of the middle ground of the histogram here on the overselling. You can just about see the green line, which is indicating our 14 RSI, relative strength index. Okay, so this is what I use a lot for the 2-week kind of trades, or to at least see where we've gone without having to look at the chart in full detail, like wicks and things. I can see our moves clearly here as well. So we've had this nice little jump up to this medium, okay, around the 50 mark, and it's really looking nice and juicy, guys, because again, like with Sandbox, I wasn't too pleased to see a direct straight penetration over the MACD crossover here. I would like to have seen it gradually narrow and then a small switch over, but we've had what we've had. Confidence is creeping, and of course we've got this nice small wave developing. It's not really matching any of the kind of previous full waves other than maybe here, but in more of a prominent initiative, if you like. So what we've got to learn from here, these lower regions, let's say the 14th, 15th of December, tracking around 44 on the 14 days, so very good buy area, and 50 showing some really interesting stability across that 28 day and 90 day. If you notice, I'm just tracking across this couple of weeks. It didn't really move, but the 14 day did do some really interesting moves to really confirm, if you like, really good purchasing opportunities. Now we've had the tail up, and we'll probably get some profit taking at some point as we perhaps reach those higher regions of maybe nearer the $4 mark. I'm expecting maybe some big traction around 387 and 396, those kind of areas. But this is looking great. The MACD is widening. I don't think we're finished with this run that we're having. I don't think it's going to be like a complete bull run, like a full on drive upwards in one big manner. We're going to need some significant news for that kind of move to happen again. But what I would suggest is we may, just maybe, hitting the beginning areas of the bull run potentially starting. You're not going to know if you're on a bull run until it's actually in one. Okay, that sounds stupid, but it's true. And if we can get this U-shape completed, I would love us to touch back up to this 520 and then probably get some stability where we have the handle, the boring handle. And then we might start debating where we can take this up to another level. And by the time we've done that, we're probably going to start testing very quickly that $6 mark. And that's a very, very important position for us to really consider. 590, the previous all-time high. So we've got to get past those levels first before we take it on. Once that happens, I think we can move very fast beyond that, because the next fib retracement level here, albeit again an indicator, guideline, it's a significant move, and it's not going to happen in one day, I don't think, but certainly over maybe a few days to get up to that $7-8 mark. People are going to be very much looking very heavily, in my opinion, at those sell areas around that sort of maybe 870 mark, and possibly heavy 970. $10, I don't think it's going to see massive traction. I think it's going to take a while to get to that point. I think you can see a lot of resistance. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the wave patterns as we move upwards in a direction. And one thing's for sure as well, guys, just to point this out. If you remember, over the period of a few months, a lot of the charts on a lot of projects have shown significant decline over a period of time, say 2-3 months. Decentraland hasn't really done that. It's had a nice tail up even to these latter stages in November, whereas a lot of other projects around September, October time were starting to decline over that 3-month period, showing around 60 to 70% corrections. And Decentraland hasn't really been doing that. And there's a number of reasons behind that, because of the game capacity. I think game markets are treated quite differently. Even this mark here, 48%, it's not significant enough in my mind. I was expecting it to come lower, and that's probably where we would probably touch down to these lower regions, I bet. Yeah, you see what I mean? So down to these levels here to test these support mechanisms, you're looking around the 60-70. It hasn't done that. So it's showing really good confidence and traction being put in here with the volumes. And we've got some more data, as we've just shown you, showing the confidence kicking back in. Okay, I'm not sure how long this wave will continue. I doubt if it would be like mental like this one, but it will certainly be a good effort of a wave. And I think that might be what takes us up towards that kind of $4 mark, in my opinion. So that's what I'm anticipating in the next few weeks. I'm anticipating some stability of a movement upwards, not necessarily fully up to $5 immediately, but certainly a nice waved pattern up to there over the next week or two. Get us some stability of a few days or a week or so there, testing these regions that we've already had resistance at this sort of 512 mark, and then I think mana will go mental. And I'm sure they'll tie that in with games. I mean, I know many games out there do always obviously focus on charts and think, actually, what can we do to penetrate the price and make this launch a bit higher? And that's what they want. Of course, they want more and more people to hold the token, more people to stake it, and this, that, and the other, to improve the system, to improve the game. That's what it's about. So, guys, I think there's plenty more for mana, and I think it's not financial advice, obviously. We hit some nice buy points back on the way down earlier. Amazingly, hit this one down because of the leveraging failures everywhere sooner than we thought. And maybe that was it. Maybe that was what we needed. We just needed the quick burst down for Decentraland and mana to correct itself quicker and get ourselves moving upwards again. But I'm really excited to see this move and how it plays out. Could we get a J? Could we get a nice J up here and shoot straight to $7 in a few weeks' time? Let's see. But my anticipation, honest anticipation, is that we're going to trigger this up slowly. We'll probably see a bit of a correctional stability here around 512. And then, if the confidence there, if the volume is still there, and the run of the markets in general, Bitcoin's doing its thing, I think we'll smash through that and get to $7 very quickly indeed. And I do think mana will definitely get to the $10 at least by the end of the bull run. but I would also not be surprised to see it go up towards 20. Very similar projects this with Sandbox, in my opinion. Very, very similar in terms of price points, in terms of its mechanism of the game and what they're about. So, it's very interesting. It's like a little race between the two. But we've got loads of videos to get through, guys. Just wanted to touch on Mana. Let us know in the comments below if you're holding the token, if you're holding land in the game, if you're holding any NFTs. Did you get any of those Santa boxes, or were you a lunatic the next day trying to find him when he's already come and gone? Really interested to know. But guys, we'll catch up on these gaming ones next week as well. See how our thoughts tail out over these next few days in this coming week. And we'll see where we are. And we get confirmation as well next week, hopefully, as to where we may go in the next phase. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next Mana video. Bye-bye.